All right, guys, so today we're here to talk about weapons in Ashes of Creation.
Can I be your superhero?
All right, guys, if you love staying up to date in everything Ashes of Creation, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. And of course, help us promote, man. Smash that like button, leave a comment, help our channel grow. Let's jump right into it. All right, guys, so weapons in Ashes of Creation. There are a ton of weapons in Ashes of Creation. We have the one or two-handed axes. We have the bows, the clubs. We have crossbows, daggers. We have lances, which I can't wait for. Maces are in the games. We have orbs. We have pole arms and halberds. Those are your really, really long-ranged weapons. Scepters, shields, spears, spell books, staves, swords, rapiers, both one and two-handed, and lastly, wands. So there is a massive, massive arsenal of weapons in this game, and each of these different weapons have different ranges. They, some of them are longer ranged and have a longer cone. Some of them are extremely long, like the pole arms, which will have an extremely long range cone that hits a very wide arc, hitting many, many enemies at once. Each of these weapons have different balances between attack speed, range, DPS, and the cone arc of how many enemies you can actually hit with each swing. So depending on your style of play, you have a huge arsenal to choose from to really, really tune your attack to your preferred play style. Now, the weapons in Ashes of Creation are going to be melee and ranged weapon. There's going to be no guns. This world is focused largely on magic with potions and siege mechanics. Now, all of these weapons will fit into 3 gear slots. You're going to have a main hand, you're going to have an offhand, and you're going to have a ranged weapon slot. The game revolves around a combo system instead of an auto attack system. And this is interesting because your main attack that you're going to be using is going to be focused on whatever your main hand weapon is. If you have skills that activate certain kinds of weapons, it will automatically pull that weapon out to use that skill. But when you hit your basic attack, it will default to your main hand weapon. So if you're a ranger, you want to have your main hand weapon, set as your bow so that you will attack with your bow. Otherwise, you're going to default to the main hand melee weapon that you are using for your combat skills. Now, something to note is that you can weapon switch mid-battle, and it will take a few seconds for the weapon switching to cool down to allow you to switch to a different weapon. There's no really, really long switching mechanics that will pin you into, forcing you to use just one weapon for the entire fight. You can actually weapon switch with just a short cooldown in between. Something else that is very, very interesting about the weapon cosmetic slot or gear slots is the fact that you can actually showcase your weapons as cosmetic gear pieces, such as putting your sword on your belt, putting your weapon on your backpack, so that you can actually see these weapons physically in the world and differentiate yourself cosmetically from other people. This is a very, very huge change compared to other games. Never before have I ever seen a system that allowed you to actually showcase your weapons that you're using on your belt as a cosmetic piece. I just, for me, it's like such a simple thing that has never really been thought about, and I think it's fantastic. I love that. I can't wait to see what kinds of visual mechanic, because it's vast. The cosmetic system in this game is very, very vast. It is always interesting to see what kinds of cosmetic combinations people end up coming up with and what kinds of weapons they show on their character. All right, so melee has variable range. The melee weapons can be activated up to a certain distance. They have a maximum distance. And likewise, the ranged weapons like your bows have a minimum distance. So you can only fire a bow if you are a certain ways away from the enemy. If they get too close to you, you can no longer use your bows. So you got to be aware of your distance. Just like with your melee weapons, you have to be a certain range depending on how long your weapon is in order to hit your enemies successfully. So your main hand determines your active weapon ability, and the weapons have progression trees that you unlock. So rather than using a weapon over and over again and getting really, really good at the weapon, you will instead be unlocking your weapon progression trees and then using these skills that you unlock to empower and customize your weapon skill set to your needs, being able to control what kinds of passive bonuses your weapons have and what kinds of active abilities your weapons are kitted towards, which really customizes your attack and your loadout to your personal preference. All right, now it starts to get really, really interesting because weapons can be customized even further by using power stones and runes to change the type of damage that your weapon does, allowing you to really customize your attack and your assault for the fight and the situation that you find yourself getting into. In addition, PvP weapon enchantment stones can be earned to give you temporary PvP damage bonuses. And you can earn these during the 6-month PvP seasonal events. They happen twice a year. They last for 6 months apiece, and you can earn these by participating in guild wars, in arenas, and even in caravan PvP. So this is really, really exciting for those of you who love PvP and want to get the biggest advantage that you can possibly get. You can earn temporary bonuses that will likely last for about a month, and you'll have to continue to participate in these PvP events if you want to maintain the peak efficiency, deadliness, and destruction of these loadouts. In addition, weapons can be enchanted, and there is vertical and horizontal enchantments. Horizontal enchantments are enchantments that allow you to change the type of damage that a weapon is doing. So choosing fire damage to combat against fire-weak enemies, changing to ice if you want to destroy enemies that are weak to ice. That is your horizontal. It doesn't really change the power of your weapon. It just changes the way the weapon is tuned to make it the most effective for the situation that you're in. Then you have vertical enchantment progression, which physically makes the damage and the weapon that you're using more powerful and more lethal. Now, this is extremely exciting, and it's a largely unfinished system, and it'll be really interesting to see how it ends up completing. But in its current form, the enchantment system has a safe amount of enchanting that you can do, much like games of the past, like Lineage 2. You can essentially upgrade, say, 10 times. There'll be 10 enchantment levels. The first 4 levels will be completely safe, and every time you enchant a weapon to make it more powerful past the 4th level, you are going to take a chance that you're going to damage or break the weapon entirely. It'll be very interesting to see how punishing this system is and whether or not it'll be even viable to get a maximum power level weapon. In the future, we will cover enchantments in depth when the system becomes very clear on what is the best way to enchant, what are the chances of failure, and how to get the best experience out of enchanting. But enchanting is going to be a huge part of getting the most powerful weapon that you can get. Now, legendary weapons. These are the kings of this game. The legendary weapons is the ones that you want to get your hands on. They are dropped only by legendary world bosses. So you are going to have to get your team together if you want to really, really smash these bosses and build these legendary weapons. Now, it is entirely possible to never fight these bosses and build your very own legendary weapons if you are very, very adept as a player who knows how to work the market, knows how to earn money and credits and trade and use your mercantile skills. You can actually trade with other players to obtain all of the legendary pieces that you need to create these insane weapons. So even if you are a solo player, it is entirely possible for you to get these weapons without ever needing or relying on a guild. So that is really, really encouraging to hear. There will be a place for all kinds of players, no matter what type of player you are. Of course, the most efficient way of getting these will always be working with people. Those who fight together, they are strong. Together we are strong. Alone, you can survive, but it's going to be a much, much harder experience. Now, with legendary weapons, these are not temporary items. These are permanent items that you will go through great lengths to craft, and you will have them on a permanent basis, and they are very, very distinguishable. You can tell whether they're made of adamant or mithril. The color and the cosmetic itself will very, very much distinguish you amongst the crowd. People will look at your weapons and they will know immediately the incredible, incredible legendary gear that you have managed to obtain. And it is very exciting to hear that they have really went out of their way to make these weapons impressive, but not ridiculous. They want to make it more of a realistic style, functional style. There's not going to be any, giant, crazy, ridiculous types of weapons. It's going more with a realism style, and I'm really excited, man. I just love the style of graphics and the work and the art that they put into all of the cosmetics for these different armor sets and weapon sets. They've done some really, really impressive stuff, and you guys are going to have so much fun. All right, guys, that is everything that you need to know about weapons in Ashes of Creation. I really hope that to see you guys in the game. If you would like to come and join the TeamVASH Guild, come over and visit us. Come and fill out an application on our Discord channel and come and join the core today. I will see you guys in the next one. Oh yeah!